10 Minutes with James FitzGerald. And I want to talk about something that I know is near and dear to your heart, and something we've talked about, and it's the idea of a coaching professional. Like, what do you mean by that? And then if I'm now the individual considering myself as a coach, we kind of talked about that with the first episode, is like, you know, what is an athlete? If I'm calling myself an athlete, if I'm calling myself a professional coach, like, what are some of the check boxes that you feel sort of really encapsulate that person?
Yeah, I think it's a job forever. And I think if, 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, with the inception of the professional fitness coach, people got into it thinking, oh, I'm going to do this until, like, I can't teach anyone anymore. But along the way, just due to changes in economy, a new generation, new thoughts, education has changed, information technology, et cetera, we've really moved fitness into pop culture. And so it's become a popularity thing and not necessarily an honor around, physical culture. And I'm not going to get political, but the loss of individualism, the loss of the importance of biology, the loss of just logic around, the system, the physical system, and how it operates. And my belief is there needs to be advisors and guiding lights in society that help people with this physical system to allow them to do what they want to do, which is a medium of fitness. And I think the person that is the best to help that is the fitness coach, and it's the professional fitness coach. So what I mean by professional, it means that it's a profession. So, and we really want to, put the conversation on discussing it, like I like to say, to the far side of what the utmost level of professional is, and then only keep it there. And any iteration that's not that is not professional. And this is where people get really uncomfortable. They're like, yeah, but I'm a professional. It's like, well, you're not. If, I'm the only one defining it. Well, maybe I'm not the only one defining it, but I'm defining it this. That doesn't make my shit wrong. Right. It doesn't make the fact that you think you're professional right either. But, that's where I want to put it. So you do it. It's your full-time shit. And until we get the basic income in the United States and around the world, which preliminarily people have tried it and it's fucking failed horribly. So until we get to that, where we just wake up, we're like, whoop, checks in the mail. I'm not really concerned about putting food on the table for my kids and finding a quality banana, to eat during the day, and, like, I don't know, maybe going on vacation, every couple of months, right? Until we get to that point where we don't have to be concerned about it, you have to, economy and money is part of living. That's just the way it is. So if we propose to believe in something that means help people in fitness, there's a job wrapped around that. And what I'm saying, and let me be clear here, you're either 100% inside of that forever, or you're not a professional fitness coach. So, and people are like, yeah, but I sell supplements on the side, and I'm a barista, and I just to make more. It's like, cool, but you're not a professional fitness coach. So and this is, you see the cloudiness, right? It's like these people aren't just like, spit out of university, right? Just picture just like kicked out, boom, they're finished, and they land and like, 50 hours a week, I'm a pro fitness coach for the rest of my life. No, there's a gray area, but just don't call yourself that coach. Now, you can inspire to be one, right? You can inspire to be one, but the checklist, I gave you a couple of indications in there, Michael, what that pro coach is. That's someone who's going to do this forever, that's in it 100%, and wants to be that guiding light and that advisory for someone who wants to use fitness as a medium to get to higher order things, whether that be get out of sickness, improve performance, be a little bit more resilient, improve their grit, words that are being used today, we could jump on board with. That's what professional fitness coaching is.
As you're saying that, it makes me think back to the days when I would talk to my music students when I was coaching at the college. And I would talk about, it's like, making a living playing music professionally, and like everybody, how many people do you know? Oh yeah, man, I play drums, man. Yeah, I'm like in a band. Like, oh yeah, and there's just this part of me that wants the backroom voice is like, oh, so you pay your mortgage by playing drums? Oh, oh yeah. So, okay, you're putting food on your table with your guitar then. Oh no, you're not. No, it's no. Yeah. Oh, that bar you just played. Oh, that's for free. Like, that's fun. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no.
But that's not a professional musician. That's, I mean, and we're not just talking about financial, but that's, I mean, that's the world. That's a component of it.
Yeah, because if you think about true mastery, the professional has to create mastery in whatever they're doing, because they will eventually make the entire system work better. And those who don't work on mastery of that specific profession, i.e. they cloud it, call themselves professional, but actually don't work on it all the time to get better at it, they actually cloud the whole system, right? So that musician you were talking about who doesn't, you know, do skills and practice it all week because that's what they want to do like 100% of the time, eventually it's going to come back to hurt the professionals who are 100% at it. Do you see that? So it's classification. It really is just classification, and some people may feel a little uncomfortable with that, but unless we have classification, then, you know, we're not able to have the conversation with who's a doctor and who's not. And it's just people talk about that. It's like, whoa, 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 dude, you can't go into those areas and say who's a doctor, who's not. It's like, well, I'm telling you, you can't talk about that in my profession, right? So we don't have a designation after that's like pro fitness coach, right? Like a DR or MD or something. And I'm not talking about the level of expertise or knowledge or whatever, or the incorrect conversation or argument in terms of who's more moral or who's more valid or who's going to give more to society. I don't want to get into that uncomfortable area because everyone goes to the far, you know, but a doctor does so much, and who's going to help you when your leg is broken, and how do they, you know, I got nothing against that, but I am arguing for it, saying they're a profession, right? And the same thing should apply for someone who's going to help people in fitness. And the reason why we don't think that's the case, because there's 25,000 different ways to do fitness and health, right? Yet there's one somewhat accepted way to be a doctor in that classic form, if that makes sense. Yep. But here, there's 25,000 different ways. But guess what the professional coach says? There's how many ways there are? There's one way, right? It's the way that's for the client, and that's who gives guidance is the pro coach, right? Not someone who's like, you know. So if you're doing it right as a coach, and you're thinking that in a couple of years you're going to sell the business and walk away and be on a beach, you're not a professional fitness coach. So if you think that you're managing 12 coaches, right, and you own a gym, right, and they're just up in front with classes and people coming in and out, you're not a professional fitness coach. You're a businessman. Yeah, and see where it gets, you know, classification of it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Right. So if you're growing professional fitness coach, right? If you're killing them, then I got something else to say about it. Indirectly, why you take cash and those people just find another job in a couple of years, I got a problem with that. If you have, you know, you're like, well, we'll just try this out and see if it works. Don't come into the profession. Right? Don't come in. You know, I forbid you. Right? I will find you. You know, I won't allow you to do it. And maybe no one else gives a shit about that, but I do. And the reason why I give a shit about it is because I know there's thousands of people that we're discussing with, having conversation on and educating them, that really do want to make an impact with people. And what clouds it is the unprofessional coach. It's the part-time person. It's the person that believes that in a year and a half, we'll just find something else to do because they read a book on hustling and side jobs. It's like, no, that's not reality, right? It's not reality. Again, let's push it to the uncomfortable side. There's no such thing as work, and we all get basic income. Yeah, well, that's fantasy. So what do you have to do? Unless you have lots of money coming from your family to pay you off for the next 50 years, then great, work on philanthropically and help people in fitness, fantastic. Otherwise, get professional, get 100% focused on what you need to do, fall in love with it, and crush it. And it'll take time to build, but you'll have sweetness on the other side. If you don't believe in that process, don't become a professional fitness coach. Don't call yourself a professional fitness coach, and stay out of the profession. We don't need you.
You touched on it a second ago, and we can use the OPEX gym models as a great example of, those are houses that build and hire professional coaches, full-time coaches. This isn't part-time. This isn't somebody you do on the side. This isn't, I'm just covering the floor for an hour or two, and then I'm going to go to my, these are full-time,
right. Yeah. That's fitness instructor, right? Just tell yourself what it is. You're a volunteer.
Right.
right? I see those folks no different. So people who are just doing classes 3 times a day in front of a group, teaching them the same thing, doing it 4 days a week, you're like a YMCA fitness instructor, right? And don't take that incorrectly or judgment, but there's no difference. There's no difference. They get paid $25 a class. Mm-hmm. Right. So what's the difference there? It's like, well, not much. And I'm not using economy to determine value, but there's really no difference in that. Right. There's really no difference in it. So you got to be in it for the long haul. The secondary thing is you were telling about, what I find, super interesting is that even with our profession, remember the doctor and fitness profession over here, there's 25,000 ways. We made celebrities fitness professionals now. We've made Navy SEALs fit professionals. We've made a financial, juggernaut, who's invested money for the past 5 years, who's 27 years of age, now a billionaire. Now they're giving advice on diets and fitness and health, right? Everyone's allowed to be involved with this because it's now turned into pop culture, right? Which is sickening. It's sickening, And if you think of professional fitness coaching like I do in the eyes of the doctor as example, what do doctors do? They have regulations, policy, et cetera, and it may look like, the medical mafia, but at least they're supporting their profession, right? As to like what is a true professional in this area and who can and who cannot be involved. And I love using doctors because I believe fitness professionals can prevent a shit ton of future issues for the human race. Mm-hmm. So where do you want to put value? You think the fitness professional can't change someone's life and then an entire culture just based upon change in behavior and exercise? And if you don't believe that, again, you're probably not a professional fitness coach either. Right. You're someone who believes in just a duct tape model or a symptomatic system.
And I know you my last point, and I think back to, I should have had the quote. You had a great, FitzGerald fitness tip on Facebook a couple of weeks ago or whatever, and maybe just quickly touch on, you touched on the idea that, there can be a collegiate background within a fitness professional. You can have exercise science background. You can go, that's not the only path. And we're not necessarily talking about that, right? I mean, maybe just alleviate some of the fears that somebody might be saying. And I'll call myself out. I mean, I have formal education, but on a music side of education, not an official exercise science. And I've learned that from other means, OPEX and others.
Yeah, education for kids up to university has been put together to make factory workers. And that hasn't changed since the 30s. So you got to remember that we tried this whole thing that's like, oh, you probably should sit in a chair and learn all these things and then do it in university because it's going to give you a good job and you're going to live in your home with your family and this is how it's going to operate. So we've done that long enough now where it's like, yeah, what we teach those people in physical education is actually not required for the current status. This doesn't mean that there's 0.007% of humans out there that require the depth of knowledge that you would get from 7 years of university, talking about mitochondrial dysfunction and sarcomeres and, that's cool. But the fact that that is actually not leveling you up to help more people in fitness. So what I meant by my comment is that you probably, and I'm biased because, I've developed a system that helps that, you need 6 to 9 months of principles, and then you just need to experience fitness. And that can change millions of people. And just think of this, like just imagine that, and this is a weird, concept to get in, but it'll change people's ideas on why we do fitness. Imagine if 3% of the entire population was slightly overfat, not clinically obese, slightly overfat. Do you see how that changes the entire perspective, right? It's only because we have a story and a narrative now of higher increase in technology, lazier individuals, shit can be done a whole lot easier, physical manifestations are less important, that we have this in front of you.
Right.
That's why fitness is important. So what does it take in education to help transform 90% of the population from being a -5 to get to like a +1? It's basic principles. Don't be lazy. Stop eating sugar. Keep moving. Do some lunges. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean to make it trivial, but it's just changing behaviors and keeping people safe. And believe me, I went through that, right? I thought it was like, no, you got to know all this stuff on, NME and percentage of fiber, and put it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
Awesome.
That could be lengthy.
No, we'll keep layering this out. I got more questions for future episodes, so we'll come back. James, true pleasure today. It's always a treat to sit down and chat with you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your expertise. Thanks for all of your thought and background and info.
Yeah, great question, Michael.
My friend, we will talk again in a couple of weeks, and in the short term, have a great week.
See you.
All right, take care, James.